Hey everyone, it's me, Selena-Hope, and today I wanted to talk about something I call the Reylo Effect. Um, I don't know if it is an original title for this kind of thing, but I'm calling it the Reylo Effect. Now, let me take you back a ways to my history with Star Wars because it's kind of complicated. Before I get into the Reylo Effect theory that I have, um, so I never watched a whole Star Wars film up until December of 2019 when I was 17 years old. Now, I knew of Star Wars. I knew, the iconic characters, but I was never interested in watching any of the films, and this is mainly because it was more of my brother's things, my brother's thing, and they both were really into it when we were little, and I just was never interested. It didn't look interesting to me when I was little, and I didn't know much about it, and I never really gave it a fair shot until December of 2019, when they convinced me and my mother to binge watch episodes 1 through 8 at home, and then see if we could wait until episode 9 on DVD or Blu-ray, and or either just go to the theater. So we would binge watch all the episodes that were available. Um, we started with the originals because I didn't know much about the story, and I didn't even know Luke and Leia were twins. So um, that was fun. Then we waited until the next night to watch the prequels, and um, not a fan of episode 1, to be honest. Although I really loved 2 and 3, and then the next night we watched 7 and 8. And The Rise of Skywalker was already out, so I really wanted to see the last Skywalker film in theaters. Um, like I said, my brothers were really big fans of Star Wars. They had never seen a Star Wars film in theaters before. I quickly became obsessed with Star Wars, and so we waited a week in early January, and then we watched it, and then I went home sad because it didn't end the way that I wanted it to, but I turned to fan fiction, and that was it. The rest is history with me. I have read fan fiction, and I've written fan fiction. I wrote a whole trilogy from 2020 to 2023 of Reylo and having a happy ending. A fic trilogy, if you will. And um, although I just remembered, I almost forgot to mention. Even though I grew up never watching any Star Wars films, I used to watch the Clone Wars when I was 6 years old, the TV show that was on Cartoon Network, and I didn't realize at the time that it was Star Wars related. I mean, you'd think that the laser swords would give it away, but I was 6, and it looks fun, and I didn't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. Like, I turned on the show on at my grandmother's house, my great grandmother's house, and watched it. I was obsessed. But I guess the intro should have tipped me off that this was Star Wars. But I'm 6 years old. What do I know? Anyways, I've seemed to notice a trend. Okay, so like I told you, in 2019 I became a Star Wars fan, and after watching The Rise of Skywalker in 2020 before COVID hit, I became a Reylo. I mean, I noticed the chemistry between Rey and Kylo slash Ben, but I thought they were gonna be revealed as like siblings or cousins, and I hate to admit it, but when I first watched the originals, not knowing that Luke and Leia were twins, I was rooting for them to get together until the Return of the Jedi, and um, I feel really bad about that. I feel weird admitting that, but it's the truth. I rooted for them to get together because, he's the main character and she's the, the main female lead. She's cool. I like her, you know. She's someone I would look up to, and why not romance? Because romance is my favorite part of the entire series as a whole. Um, when I think of Star Wars, I immediately go to like Han and Leia, and Anakin and Padme, and Rey and Ben. My favorite part is the romance. So after watching the originals and then feeling grossed out that I rooted for two siblings to get together, but not knowing that they were siblings until the end, um, I didn't keep my hopes up. I was okay with Rey and Finn getting together if, you know, Ben was her sibling or cousin. But I noticed the chemistry right away. It's just if Rey and Finn ended up together with the knowledge that I had at the time, and the thought of like him as Ben being like Rey's sibling or cousin was like out there, I wouldn't have been mad. I know most Reylos will say that, you know, Rey and Finn had more, you know, um, are better off as friends. But in The Force Awakens, they kind of felt romantic-y. Like there was obviously like a romance like boiling in there. And even though I still rewatched the sequels, it's obvious that they also have chemistry. But I am a Reylo shipper. I prefer Reylo, but if Rey and Finn had gotten together and Rey and Ben were family, I mean, I wouldn't have been too mad at that, but I prefer the way that the sequels ended relationship wise, and I'm glad that um, for for a new thing for Star Wars, they revealed a Palpatine being good instead of evil, because when you think of Palpatine in Star Wars, you automatically go to um, the Emperor and how evil he is. And I really like the way they introduced the idea of a Palpatine being good. And not only a Palpatine being good, but being equal to a Skywalker. Like, they are a dyad in the Force. And um, like I said, before The Rise of Skywalker, before I watched that, I thought Ben and Rey were siblings or cousins. So even though I noticed the chemistry, I didn't want to get my hopes up again, you know, because I didn't want to risk shipping them when they're family, because I already done it once, and that was just. But in my defense, I didn't know that Luke and Leia were going to be siblings, and to be fair, in my defense also, George Lucas has admitted that he didn't plan out that, like, from the beginning, like, he kind of just went as he just wrote the story as it went along. And Darth Vader wasn't even originally supposed to be Anakin. Like, that was planned before they shot Empire. So, he didn't plan this out from the beginning. So, in my defense, that's what it looked like it was going, and the story wasn't planned out from the beginning. Anyways, I didn't want to get my hopes up, and I'm glad I'm wrong, and I'm glad that I saw Rise of Skywalker in the theater. It was a cool experience to have with my family, because my mom, when she was 3, got to see Return of the Jedi in theaters. She doesn't really remember it all that well, but she told me that she went to see it in theaters with her family. So it was kind of cool to get to say I got to see a Star Wars film in the theater, and also see the last chapter of a trilogy in the theater like she did. So that was really cool. Anyways, I don't know why I'm getting too ahead of myself. I'm like almost 10 minutes in, and I haven't even gotten to the Reylo theory. I've gotten into the backstory of my Star Wars experience and journey, but I have noticed that in the recent years, of the 2020s, there has been a kind of like a explosion of books, of a certain inspiration from Star Wars, which I have never heard of before. And I can't say much about, like, from the early days of Reylo. I know Reylo has always been a thing. Like, there's been fans since 2015, but then it really kicked off in 2017. But again, I wasn't a fan of Star Wars at the time, so I can't say for certain, like, what it was like, because I didn't experience it. I experienced it at the tail end of the trilogy ending. But from my research and from Reddit posts that I've seen, it really took off. Like, the whole Reylo thing took off in 2017 and 2018 when The Last Jedi had just come out. It seemed like 2015 through 2017, the fans of Reylo noticed the spark, was interested, and like instantly intrigued and fans of them. But they were made fun of for 2 years because people thought they would be cousins and or siblings. And I'm just basing this off of what other Reylos have said. This is not my personal experience because, again, I've never experienced this. I didn't see this in real time. But from 2017, when The Last Jedi hit, to 2018, and 2019 to before The Rise of Skywalker, a lot of fan fiction had like started to blow up on like Archive of Our Own, also known as AO3, and when The Rise of Skywalker hit, it seemed like it exploded even more. And I'm now explaining it from my side, like how I saw it, because I was one of those people who went to fan fiction after that ending, that like and it was like so sad, and like what I really hated the most about that ending, to be honest, it wasn't exactly how they went about with Ben and Rey, although they should have written it better. My biggest complaint about that ending is the Rey Skywalker scene, and like what would have made sense even more, to be honest, was if she went by Rey Solo, because Ben is also a Solo and he's not just a Skywalker. And Han, even though he wasn't around Rey for very long, he was still kind of a father figure to her. So it wasn't just Luke and Leia who were like parent figures to her. It was like also Han, and he wanted to hire her to be on part of his team. So like I kind of feel like they kind of brushed that spin off of the story to the side and was like, she's a Skywalker because reasons. So I feel like they should have went with Rey Solo instead of Rey Skywalker. I think people would be less angry with that than Rey Skywalker, because she would be paying tribute to the whole family, not just one part. But I know that people are saying, well, Skywalker represents hope, but Solo was a smuggler and then he turned into a good guy, so why isn't that like hopeful too? But what I've also noticed is that the published book world started to look familiar, like I had already seen this before, but in a movie. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is not the first Reylo book that I published, but this is the first and so far only book that I have read and completed, and in one sitting. I haven't finished all of these books, and yet I want to buy other books from Reylo. And for me, this was like an easy read. Yeah, it only has, let me see, only has 230 pages. And then you get the author's thing. And this was independently published, I think. So it wasn't like from a big publishing company that I believe. And I love the fact that this is like blunt legal regular. Like the author doesn't even try to hide it. Like, because you see Ray and you see Ben. And then in the back to sweeten the deal, you basically see Finn, Poe, and Rose. I honestly love that. I don't know why it took me only one setting, but it took me like 6 hours to finish this book, and I do not regret it. I've only read it once, and I want to go back to it at some point, but it's basically a book version of Never Been Kissed, but I've only read it once, and I don't really remember much about what happened in the book besides that part of like being Never Been Kissed, but I remember enjoying it, and again, this was an easy read, and I highly recommend it. I think it's underrated. I don't think it's talked about enough. But it's called For Love and Bylines by Marin Taylor. I hope I'm saying that right, because I would feel bad if I didn't. But again, that's the first book I'm showing off, and I have too many books. I have like a book shelf in my room, but I keep buying books, and yet I'm already starting to lose space. So I'm gonna have to rearrange or do something neat and cool with it. But we have this, My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. This was also Reylo fanfiction, although I forgot what it's called by. But I remember hearing what the name was, but I think it was the same title. Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. I really don't remember. I'm trying to remember, but I remember that someone told me the name of the fanfic title, but I haven't finished this book. I kind of I bought it a year ago, but I haven't finished this book. I read it a few pages in the first chapter, but it's because I keep buying books, and then like I'm someone who can read multiple books at once, so it's kind of hard for me to commit to one and then read it completely and then move on. I just like keeping things interesting in my book life. Like, I want to read more than one book at a time. Now, this is not really Reylo. This is not really a Reylo book, but I mean, it's Star Wars, but I'm just showing you this because it's part of my book collection. But this is The Force Awakens expanded version, bonus material that they couldn't put in the movie. And this is by Alan Dean Foster. Now, I didn't read the other book that he was involved in with Star Wars, but I know that he wrote another book in Star Wars, and he wrote this for the extended version of the movie. This is basically the movie plus extended. So whatever scenes got cut in the movie are in this book. I've not finished it, although I am almost done with it. And I love it. I actually prefer it more than the movie. But again, I prefer books than like the movie versions. But I think because you can get into the character's mind better, and because there's more to the story that, can't be in film, because, there are some things that you can't translate into film that you can in books, and vice versa. And I just prefer books. I haven't gotten to The Last Jedi yet because I haven't finished The Force Awakens, but this was written by Jason Fry. This is the extended version to The Last Jedi. I am excited for this book. This is my favorite movie in the sequel trilogy. So I'm very excited. So I need to finish Force Awakens so I can get to this, because I'm really excited about this. But I wanted to show this off because it's Star Wars, and Reylo's in, without Star Wars there would be no Reylo. So and there's that. I have to show off those books, even though it's not Reylo fan fiction turned published. So we also have Not Another Love Song by Julie Sato, or I think that's how you say her name, Julie Sato. I don't know how to say her last name well, and if I said it wrong, I'm really sorry. But I heard that this was Reylo fanfiction turned published, and I don't know what the original fanfic was, but I know this is Reylo fanfiction, and she's like a proud Reylo, which I really appreciate, that when authors who wrote Reylo fanfic and then turn it to publish are just not like trying to hide that they're Reylos, because that's their art, and like, why should you be ashamed of having that like a part of your history? I'm not, and I've written books, and I've taken inspiration from other things for my books, and including Reylo. So, Not Another Love Song by Julie Sato, or Sato. I hope that I'm saying this right. But I especially like this copy because I pre-ordered it before it came out, and I pre-ordered a signed copy, so I didn't get to meet her, but she seems really nice. But it's really cool that she got to do pre-orders where she sent, signed copies of this book, because I haven't gotten to it because of my other books I'm reading, but I'm really excited about this one, although I should get into this one at some point because it's just sitting on my shelf, and I'm sorry. So, and we have the one that started it all, The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have been dying since it first came out to read it. I feel like this was the book that started it all, that started the Reylo published trend. Like I said, I don't know why I keep repeating myself. The Last Jedi really kicked in the fanfic world, but I really believe that it was The Rise of Skywalker that pushed authors to go published, because none of us were happy about that ending. And it's not like we can publish our fan fiction because, like, that's illegal. So we turned to other kind of fanfics, alternate universe fanfics, and then turn them into original stories, which I really love and appreciate, and I hope there's more Reylo fanfic turned published to come. And I won't stop buying them. I might not be able to buy them all in one setting, but I'm going to keep buying them for as long as I can. I also ordered a hardcover version of this book, and that's because it's hardcover. I mean, I prefer paperback because it's softer, but in a way, like, you should probably go hardcover because it's not easily damageable. Like paperback, like, you bend it the wrong way, and it could look weird. It's not noticeable on camera, but I actually bended it one day, and now it's kind of an eyesore. I feel really bad. So that's part of the reason why I bought a hardcover that's coming in next month, that I plan to read because of the extra chapter, and because there's a design on it that I am like so in love with. I keep hearing mixed things about this book. Some keep saying that this is Reylo and this is, and others say it's not. I don't know if it's for sure, but this is also by Ali Hazelwood, and it's called Bride. I've not gotten into this because of other books I'm reading, but it looked really cool and interesting. They look kind of Twilighty. I wonder if it was like kind of based on like maybe not based but inspired by Twilight, because there's werewolves and vampires and a werewolf slash and a werewolf and a vampire slash human are kind of together in the books and movies, and that's only because Jacob imprinted on a baby, which that still traumatizes me. I'm still traumatized by that. But yeah, that's just yikes. I wonder, maybe it's not just a coincidence, or it's just my like Twilight thing, like wanting to believe that this was somehow inspired by Twilight too, even though probably not. And I'm just like looking into it because I was the Twilight kid growing up. And this is not Reylo, but I did hear that it is Reylo inspired, so I think it should count as part of the Reylo collection. But this is also by Julie Seto, the one who wrote Not Another Love Song. It's called Forget Me Not. But it just screams Reylo. Like, how could this, like, when I heard it wasn't Reylo fanfiction turned published, I was like, how could this not? This just screams Reylo to me. I mean, you know what I mean? It just, I can't believe it. But I have an audiobook version of this book too. It's just, I signed up for Audible last year in the summer, and I really wanted to read it, but I couldn't just buy a copy of it at the time, so I used my free credit to listen to it, and I still am able to use that Audible version. It's just I prefer to read stuff, and I only got it because I couldn't buy a physical copy of the book. But I only like to listen to audiobooks if I'm like in public and I can't just sit down and read, But that's very rare. And this is my last book that I have a physical copy of, because I have the audiobook of Knives, Seasoning, and a Dash of Love, but I haven't been able to get a physical copy, but I got it also on my free Audible thing. But this is Sliding Into Love by Juliet Bridges, and I'm just obsessed with this book. Like, I cannot put this down because, like, it's just so good. And I love how soft it feels. I love the baseball theme, even though I'm actually not a fan of baseball, but I like to read about grumpy men who were baseball players and, sunshine girl. And that covers all the books that I have that are Reylo or Reylo inspired. But I would like to admit that I wrote Reylo fanfiction. I mean, inside the universe, like, I have the Reylo trilogy that I wrote to fix the ending, but then I wrote Reylo alternate universe fanfics, and I published 2 of them, and they're called Stuck With You and Who's the Guy Next Door. They started out as fanfiction, and then I turned them published, and they're both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So whichever you can or prefer to use, you can go and check it out. And yeah, I mean, I have to say that I'm really proud of myself for writing. Like, because writing was always like a passion of mine when I was a kid. And being able to publish my own book and self-publish is like a dream come true. And to be able to have Reylo attached to my history as an author is really, amazing to me. Like, I don't know how to explain it without, like, stuttering or being nervous, because I don't like talking to the camera much because I get nervous. And, But being able to say that Reylo is a part of my writing history is just, for me, that's amazing. And it's just, I'm always going to have a special place in my heart for that part of my life. And being able to say that I was 17 when I became a Reylo. I was also 17 when I wrote my Fix It fanfic. And I continued it for 3 years on and off, because there were months I wouldn't write anything in it, and I would write other stories where I just didn't write it all at the time, due to life. And I was in college at the time, in 2020 and 2021, so I couldn't just write 24/7. And although COVID, gave, because of COVID and restrictions and staying home a lot, it helped me get into Reylo fanfiction more, both writing and reading. But it was just college. I did online college, so I didn't have to quarantine away from other people, because my classmates were always online, and I dropped out of college 2 years in because I wasn't passionate about my degree, and I just realized that I wanted to write. And I know you can get a writing degree. It's just my heart wasn't in it, and I want to be a good influence on any kids who are watching this. If you want to go to college, go to college. Stay in school, and then make something of yourself. Go to college. But if you go and you're just not feeling it, it's okay to drop out. You're not a failure. It's as long as you try and you put your heart and soul into it and your effort into it, that's all that matters. Hello, editing Selena here. I forgot to mention that I think to some degree Reylo, as a community, would have published books, their fanfics turned published. I think it was always meant to happen. And I always wondered if the Red Skywalker had anything to do with it. Was that ending the way to make Reylos go, if you're not gonna get the ending right, we'll just do it ourselves, and we'll do what we can, changing names for copyright reasons and legal reasons, and we'll make the ending as we want it to be, and inspire others to do enjoy it and be writers themselves if they want to be. I wonder if The Rise of Skywalker was really the push, because I know The Last Jedi started it, but was The Rise of Skywalker the push that Reylos needed to just go full on published, and not just fanfiction writers, but full on published? And I'm saying this as a fanfic writer and as a published author. Fanfiction is still writing. Just because you can't make money off of it doesn't make you less of a writer. Doesn't make you less worthy of being a writer. Fanfiction is still work. It's still a work of art. It's still something that you put your heart and soul into, or you enjoy reading because you prefer fanfiction over other Hollywood stuff that they deem to be worthy. And published work is still art too, and it's still real writing. It's not any better. I'm not saying any better as in writing wise. I'm just saying any better I'm saying just published authors are better than fanfic writers, and makes them more worthy of praise and congratulations over fanfic writers, because as weird as it sounds, being a fanfic writer is still kind of scary, because there's two ways that it can go. I mean, you can't please everybody, so you're obviously gonna have those few people who do not like your writing, but is it gonna go way more to people who are gonna enjoy your stories and are going to encourage you to continue going your path, or saying, yeah, you suck. Yeah, writing fan fiction is still scary, and publishing it online, like on Wattpad or AO3, is still scary because there's two ways it could go. It could go mostly hate or mostly love. I mean, you can't please everybody, and you shouldn't care about what other people think, but um, fan fiction writing is still scary. I was scared that people wouldn't like my fan fiction, and then I found a Reddit post about me because I deleted some fan fiction off of my AO3, and someone was wondering where it was. Like, where was the fan fiction? And why did I take it down? Or something like that. But it can go two ways, and that is scary. And it doesn't make you less of a writer if you just want to do fan fiction and you're not comfortable publishing, like, officially and professionally. If you just prefer the fanfic thing, then do you. You don't have to go publish because other people go publish. I went publish because that's what my goal was as a 6-year-old. I wanted to be a real writer. But you are still a real writer when you're just writing fan fiction. That's what I learned as a writer in my writing journey. I am a writer. I've always been a writer since I was a little kid, drawing comics and writing little stories on my notebooks at school, and then getting in trouble because I would get caught writing stories instead of doing my work. But you're still as much as a real writer as like Allie Hazelwood or Stephanie Meyer or Alan Foster. You are still a real writer just because you prefer fanfiction or you're comfortable in the fanfiction world. That's cool. Do you? And don't let anyone stop you. But that's all I gotta say. God bless and bye.